Miami Beach, Florida. January 1980. Hulk Hogan sat in the hotel lobby, his heart pounding, because across from him sat the greatest boxing legend of all time, Muhammad Ali, and what Ali was about to tell him would change Hulk's life forever. That night had started differently. Hulk was only 26 years old, just beginning to gain recognition in WWE, but he was still struggling to prove himself. When he returned to the hotel, the receptionist gave him a strange look. "Mr. Hogan, someone's waiting for you in the lobby." "Who?" "Muhammad Ali." Hulk's world stopped. Muhammad Ali, the world-famous boxer, was waiting for him? Why? His hands were trembling as he descended in the elevator. Because Muhammad Ali wasn't just an athlete. He was Hulk's childhood hero. He had grown up watching his fights on television. He knew float like a butterfly, sting like a bee by heart. When he entered the lobby, he saw him. That legendary posture, that confident stance. Muhammad Ali, 38 years old, still glowing with that charismatic aura. When he saw Hulk, he stood up. "You're Hulk Hogan, aren't you?" Hulk could only nod. He couldn't find his voice. Ali smiled. "Sit down, son. I need to talk to you." They sat side by side. Hulk still thought he was dreaming. Did Muhammad Ali really want to talk to him? "I watch you on television," Ali said. "Wrestling, it's an interesting sport. But you're not just a wrestler, are you?" "What do you mean?" Ali turned to him. There was seriousness in his eyes. "Son, I'm going to tell you something, and I want you to never forget these words." Hulk's heartbeat quickened. What was Ali going to say? "Look at me," Ali said. "You're not just a wrestler. You're a storyteller. You're the man who's going to light that spark in children's eyes." "But what?" Ali paused. His eyes drifted into the distance. "But fame is a dangerous thing, son. It makes you forget who you are. And you're standing in a very special place right now." "How so?" "Children are going to look at you and see a hero. But are you a real hero, or just a hero in the ring?" Hulk had never thought about this question. "I don't know." Ali put his hand on Hulk's shoulder. "That's why I'm here, son. I'm going to tell you the biggest secret of my life." He lowered his voice. "I was Cassius Clay before I became Ali, and Cassius Clay was a scared child. But one day I decided I was going to show the world Ali, and Ali fears nothing." Hulk listened carefully. "Do you know what my greatest battle was?" "Which one?" "Killing Cassius. Because both can't live at the same time. You're either Cassius or you're Ali." Ali stood up. "You're trying to become Hulk Hogan right now, but your real name is Terry, isn't it?" "Yes, Terry Bollea." "Don't kill Terry, son," Ali said. His voice was very serious, very deep, because Terry has things to teach Hulk. Terry has a heart, a conscience, humanity. Hulk Hogan is just a character, but you need to feed that character with Terry's heart." Hulk's eyes began to fill with tears. These words hit right in his heart. "Children will see you on television and call you a hero," Ali continued, "but you'll be a hero in real life too. You'll visit children's hospitals. You'll do charity work. Because that yellow bandana isn't just a costume, it's responsibility." Ali pulled a small piece of paper from his pocket. "This is my phone number. Call any time. But remember, your real power comes from the Terry inside you." Hulk took that paper. His hands were still trembling. Ali started walking toward the door, but he stopped, turned around. "One last thing, son." "Yes?" And at that moment, Muhammad Ali said the final sentence that would change Hulk Hogan's life: "Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. But remember, before becoming a butterfly, you have to be a caterpillar. You're a caterpillar right now, Terry, but soon you'll fly." He walked out the door. Hulk just sat there. He was looking at the paper in his hand, replaying Ali's words over and over in his mind. Everything changed after that night. When Hulk Hogan stepped into the ring, he wasn't just wrestling. He was thinking about that spark in children's eyes. Every time he read a fan letter, he remembered Ali's words. Every hospital visit, he felt Terry's heart. And years passed. Hulk Hogan became a worldwide legend. But he never forgot Ali's words. In 2016, at Ali's funeral, Hulk Hogan was crying in the back rows because that little piece of paper was still in his wallet. After 36 years, and that day he made himself a promise, "Thank you, Ali. You didn't just teach me how to be famous, you taught me how to be human." That's why Hulk Hogan wasn't just a wrestler. He was a man who carried Ali's wisdom in his heart. He was a legend who combined Terry Bollea's humanity with Hulk Hogan's power. And every time he stepped on stage, every time he put on that yellow bandana, he heard Ali's voice float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. But remember, before becoming a butterfly, you have to be a caterpillar. Years later, when young wrestlers would ask Hulk for advice, he would tell them exactly what Ali had told him that night in Miami Beach. He would say, "Don't kill who you really are to become who you think you should be. The character you play on stage should be fed by the person you are in your heart." And sometimes, late at night, when the crowds were gone and the lights were off, Hulk would take out that old piece of paper. Ali's phone number had long since changed, but the memory of that conversation remained as fresh as ever. Because Muhammad Ali had given him something more valuable than any championship belt, more precious than any trophy. He had given him the wisdom to stay human while becoming a legend. That night in the Miami Beach hotel lobby, two legends had sat together. One was at the peak of his career, the other just beginning his journey. But what passed between them was more than advice. It was the passing of a torch, the sharing of a sacred truth about what it really means to be a hero. Muhammad Ali had floated like a butterfly and stung like a bee in the boxing ring. But that night, he showed Hulk Hogan how to do something even more important, how to touch hearts, change lives, and inspire generations, while never losing the essence of who you truly are. And that lesson, whispered in a hotel lobby in 1980, would echo through decades of Hulk Hogan's career, influencing every match he wrestled, every child he met, every moment he stood in the spotlight, remembering always that real strength comes not from the muscles in your arms, but from the love in your heart. The impact of that single conversation became evident years later. When Hulk Hogan became the face of WWE in the 1980s, he didn't just entertain audiences, he inspired them. Children across America would wear yellow bandanas and flex their arms, not just copying his moves, but embracing the values he represented. During his peak years, Hulk would often find himself in difficult situations. Contract negotiations, creative differences, personal struggles, moments when the pressure to compromise his values was intense. But every time he would remember Ali's words, "Don't kill Terry, son," and he would make decisions based on what Terry Bollea's conscience told him, not what Hulk Hogan's character might demand. One particular incident stands out. In 1985, during the height of Hulkamania, Hulk was offered a lucrative deal to endorse a product he personally didn't believe in. The money was enormous, enough to set him up for life. But as he sat in that boardroom, he heard Ali's voice echoing in his mind. He walked away from the deal. His agent thought he was crazy. "You just turned down millions, Terry." But Hulk knew he had made the right choice, because Muhammad Ali had taught him that real wealth comes from being able to look at yourself in the mirror and respect what you see. The wrestling world was shocked. No one turned down that kind of money. But Hulk Hogan had learned something that few people in the entertainment industry ever master: the difference between success and significance. Years passed, and that decision proved to be one of the best he ever made, because by maintaining his integrity, he built something more valuable than money. He built trust. Parents trusted him with their children's dreams. Kids believed in him not just as a performer, but as a role model. When Make-A-Wish Foundation approached him to visit sick children, Hulk didn't hesitate. He remembered Ali's words about visiting children's hospitals. But these weren't just publicity visits. They were sacred moments where Terry Bollea's heart met Hulk Hogan's influence. One visit particularly stayed with him. A 7-year-old boy named Danny was fighting leukemia. When Hulk walked into his hospital room, Danny's eyes lit up despite his obvious pain. "Hulk Hogan, you're really here." "Of course, little dude. Hulkamania is here for you." But then Danny asked something that caught Hulk off guard. "Hulk, are you scared of anything?" For a moment, Hulk almost gave the standard superhero answer, "Heroes don't get scared." But he remembered Ali's lesson about staying human. "You know what, Danny? I get scared sometimes. When I was your age, I was scared of lots of things." "Really? Really? But you know what I learned? Being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. Being brave means you do the right thing even when you are scared." Danny thought about this. "So I can be brave even though I'm scared about being sick?" "You're already the bravest person I know, Danny." That conversation lasted an hour, but its impact lasted a lifetime. Danny's parents later told Hulk that their son's whole attitude changed after that visit. He fought his illness with a courage that amazed his doctors. Danny recovered, and 20 years later he became a pediatric oncologist, dedicating his life to helping other children fight cancer. When he graduated medical school, he sent Hulk a letter. "Thank you for teaching me that heroes are human too." This was the legacy that Muhammad Ali had set in motion that night in 1980, not just the creation of a wrestling superstar, but the shaping of a man who understood that true heroism lies in connecting human heart to human heart. As Hulk's career evolved, he faced many challenges: career setbacks, personal controversies, moments when the public turned against him. But through it all, he held on to Ali's central message: stay true to who you are at your core. In interviews, when reporters asked him about his secret to longevity in the entertainment business, Hulk would often say, "A very wise man once told me to never kill the person I really am." That advice has guided every decision I've ever made. He never mentioned Ali's name in those interviews. It felt too personal, too sacred to share publicly. But privately, that conversation remained the North Star of his entire career. Now, as Hulk looks back on decades in the spotlight, he realizes that Muhammad Ali gave him something infinitely more valuable than career advice. He gave him a philosophy for living authentically in an industry that often rewards artifice. The yellow bandana became more than a costume piece. It became a symbol of the responsibility to inspire. The Hulk Hogan character became more than entertainment. It became a vehicle for spreading hope and positivity to millions around the world. And every single time Hulk steps into that spotlight, every time he hears the roar of the crowd, every time he sees that spark of excitement in a child's eyes, he remembers a January night in 1980, when the greatest boxer who ever lived taught a young wrestler the greatest lesson he would ever learn. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. But remember, before becoming a butterfly, you have to be a caterpillar. Those words didn't just change a career, they transformed a life. And through that transformation, they touched millions of other lives, creating a legacy that extends far beyond any wrestling ring, reaching into the hearts and dreams of people around the world who learned that real heroes are not afraid to be human. The ripple effect of that single conversation continued for decades. When Hulk transitioned from wrestling to Hollywood, starring in movies and television shows, he carried Ali's wisdom with him. Every script he read, every role he considered, he filtered through the question, will this honor who I really am, or will it compromise my values? This principle led him to turn down roles that would have been lucrative, but would have sent the wrong message to his young fans. Instead, he chose projects that allowed him to be both entertaining and inspirational, movies like No Holds Barred and the television series Thunder in Paradise, where he could play characters that embodied the same heroic ideals that Hulk Hogan represented in the wrestling ring. But perhaps the most profound application of Ali's lesson came during Hulk's personal struggles. When his marriage ended in a highly publicized divorce, when family issues became tabloid fodder, when his reputation faced its darkest moments, he remembered Ali's words about not killing the real person inside. During those difficult times, it would have been easy to become bitter, to let the circumstances change who he was at his core. But Ali had taught him something crucial about resilience. Your character isn't defined by what happens to you, but by how you respond to what happens to you. So, instead of retreating from the public eye or becoming defensive, Hulk chose transparency and growth. He admitted his mistakes, learned from them, and used his experiences to help others facing similar challenges. He became an advocate for men going through difficult divorces, offering support and guidance based on his own journey through pain to healing. This authenticity resonated with people in ways that his wrestling persona never could. Fans who had grown up watching Hulk Hogan realized that the man behind the character was even more admirable than the character itself. Because he had shown them that real heroes face real problems and find real solutions, the wrestling industry took notice. Younger wrestlers began seeking out Hulk for mentorship, not just about performing in the ring, but about maintaining integrity in an industry that often pressures people to compromise their values for success. As Hulk entered the later stages of his career, he began to understand the full scope of what Muhammad Ali had given him that night. It wasn't just career advice, it was life philosophy. It wasn't just about success in wrestling. It was about success as a human being. When Halls of Fame honors came, when Lifetime Achievement Awards were presented, Hulk knew that none of them would have been possible if he had lost himself in the pursuit of fame. Because Ali had taught him that the greatest victory is being able to look in the mirror and respect the person looking back at you. The final validation of Ali's wisdom came from his own grandchildren. When they were old enough to understand who their grandfather was in the public eye, they told him something special that brought tears to his eyes. "Grandpa, we're proud of you. Not because you're famous, but because you're good to people." In that moment, Hulk realized that Ali's lesson had come full circle. He had successfully passed on to the next generation the same important values that Ali had shared with him. The understanding that true strength comes from character, not from muscles. The conversation in that Miami Beach hotel lobby lasted less than an hour, but its profound impact has lasted a lifetime, touching not just Hulk Hogan's life, but the lives of countless others who were inspired by his authentic heroism. Muhammad Ali floated like a butterfly and stung like a bee in the ring, but his greatest victory might have been teaching a young wrestler how to fly while staying grounded in his own values and humanity.